Welcome to Off With Their Headlines. I am your co-host, Amanda Matta, joined by the lovely, inimitable Meredith Constant.
Oh my gosh. Hello, Amanda.
Hi.
My gosh, we have an episode today. It is exciting. It is juicy. I can't speak, but I'm overcome with emotion. It's that good. So much going on. I just quickly before we get started, I wanted to do a little intro housekeeping.
Ooh, okay. Give it to me.
So first of all, we have a very fun bonus episode coming out. We have the Royal Equerry episode on our Patreon that is dropping later this week over the weekend. So if you want to check that out over on patreon.com/offwiththeirheadlines, it is for the $5 tier and up. We also have other goodies over there, discussions going on for free and paid members. And we have some fun coming up over on our Patreon. Things are happening over there. So you might want to keep an eye on this space. The other big news, next week we have a very special episode with the author of the book, The Crown's Silence, which is all about the British monarchy's role in the trading of enslaved people. With Dr. Brooke Newman, who is the author, we had an incredible conversation. We were privy to the book early, so we got to read it a bit before everyone else. It is an incredible book. We have a fantastic conversation with her. The book drops next week, and so does our interview. So be sure to check that out.
Definitely. I'm excited for you to hear that interview. It was such a good conversation and very timely and important is all I will say.
So all that and more, you can look in the show notes for links to all the things.
All the things. But today, Meredith, we have quite a few royal and royal adjacent topics to cover that are making headlines. So do we want to start with children cutting off their parents? And it's not the one you're thinking of.
It's not. Well, I don't know which one you're thinking of, but it is a big week.
The one we've been thinking of for the last 6 years? 6 years.
Yes. Okay. I see where, okay, I get it. I know what we're doing here. Yes. A big week for laying it down with toxic family members. A few have said, to quote Britney Spears, "You're toxic."
Allegedly.
I'm slipping under and slipping out of this relationship, or
That's right.
I am disengaging, to quote Meredith Marks. So first of all, we have Princess Eugenie reportedly cutting off Prince Andrew. This comes from the Mail on Sunday. That said, a source said that Eugenie, who established the anti-slavery collective to help counter sex trafficking, is said to be taking a, quote, dim view of her father's refusal to apologize to Epstein's victims. Well, you just said a whole lot there. Yeah. Dim could be a word for it. Interestingly, because we are going to get into this later, a source told the Mail on Sunday that the rift is like the one between the Beckhams. Quote, "There is no contact at all. Nothing. It's Brooklyn Beckham level. She has completely cut him off." Similar to Brooklyn Beckham, Eugenie is apparently handling her father differently than her sister Beatrice. The article goes on to say that, quote, "Beatrice is trying to walk the fine line of not cutting her father off and yet remaining close with the royal family." Do you want to know my theory for this?
Please, yes.
My theory is, from what we've seen, Beatrice might have followed in the family business a bit more closely. And by that, I mean business relationships overseas. She hosts that tea party in Saudi Arabia, is at those big conferences, sort of operates in a similar space in that regard. Eugenie really doesn't seem to be in the fold in the same way.
Well, and if we want to add the other layer, Eugenie is the royal we often talk about as trying to maintain connections with Harry and Meghan. She is allegedly his favorite cousin. So all the pieces seem to be falling more neatly into place with this report.
And also, if she's paid attention to what happened to her mother in charitable endeavors after emails came out and associations, it makes sense that Eugenie, upon establishing an anti-slavery collective to help counter sex trafficking, doesn't look great if your father is alleged to have participated in activities with a well-known sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, it's not great for sure. Now, I will say sources seem to be like mixed on whether this is a total cut off completely or just kind of the way the royal family seems to be handling Andrew as well. Like in public, we will not associate with you. In private, might be a different story. You know, these are sources, is all I will say. Let's take it all with a grain of salt.
Yeah,
But it makes
we don't know.
sense.
It does make sense, and it's interesting to see the sisters potentially handling this differently because Beatrice did invite her father to her daughter's christening. We don't know if Eugenie interacted with her father there. It was a private event, but you can see an olive branch of sorts, because we love that phrase,
Hmm.
perhaps being extended by Beatrice and not Eugenie. The other thing that I want to ask you is, have you heard of the phrase scarfing?
Like eating very quickly a
Nope.
lot of food. No.
Nope. This is not related to how allegedly Prince William eats pizza that upsets Kate. That's still one of my favorite random stories from a couple years ago. So, in this article, it also says that, quote, social media sleuths that watch the Sandringham walkabout, Christmas
Yeah.
walkabout,
Yep.
suggested that relations may have been tense and that Prince William was trying to avoid eye contact with Eugenie during the traditional walkabout. Quote, some suggested he was scarfing her, a term coined by royal watchers to describe moments when the prince appears to adjust his scarf whenever someone he wishes to avoid comes into sight.
So, yes, I have heard of this. I don't want us to make it a thing because the last time I heard about this, and I think where the term was coined, and I believe the only place it has been used is involving Meghan in 2018.
What?
Nope, in 2019. Yep. Nope. 2018. Sorry. Dates.
So wait, he's maybe done this one other time.
One other time. So when they say social media sleuths and royal watchers, they mean Reddit people, Reddit threaders.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What comes up is a Reddit thread where dunking on Meghan Markle is a pastime and a beloved hobby. And these people need to go outside. So, yes, scarfing was last across my radar in 2019 when I was able to quickly debunk it because if you actually look at the interaction, it's clearly just William trying to adjust his scarf, which is like causing him trouble under his overcoat. And so there was an article in Cosmopolitan in January 2019. They said, remember when Prince William, Kate Middleton, Meghan Markle, and Prince Harry, gotta get the SEO, made a public appearance together on Christmas Day, and it was the coziest thing ever? Honestly, Santa was like weeping with joy. Oh my God, another era of writing these articles. But then footage emerged of Meghan vaguely trying to speak to William while he seemingly ignored her to spend approximately 1 million years adjusting his scarf. While plenty of fans think this qualifies as a royal snub, body language expert Judy James says there's more to the
Judy
story.
James! Sorry.
This sense of distancing could be caused by tensions, but it could also be primarily prompted by William's aversion to royal soap operas. He's always appeared keen to avoid any public emotional displays, and it could be this rather than Meghan herself that he's keen to avoid. So basically saying, we don't know because the interaction, I watched the video, so you guys don't have to. It's a very short clip. They're walking out of a church on Christmas Day. And what happens is like the clergy stands outside the church, the royals shake their hands on their way to their cars. There's cameras, there's crowds, it's awkward. And Harry and Meghan during this time, like, don't fit neatly into the pecking order, is what I was picking up on. So you like have the Queen, you have Charles and Camilla, and then you have Will and Kate, but like also you have Harry and Meghan who like aren't behind them, they're beside them because we're trying to make the Fab Four thing happen. So it looked to me more like everyone was just very awkwardly trying to navigate this new like reality of what their family hierarchy looked like. There's more there's more you can go in and watch, but like never did I think Meghan was deliberately being pushed to the side. It was more just, okay, we're all standing here. We're waiting to shake the vicar's hand or whatever. It's awkward, sure, but like for everybody involved.
And also, there are so many cameras and
Yep.
fans and royal watchers trained on their
And
every move.
body language experts and lip readers, right?
Like Judy. What I do love about this Cosmopolitan article is that it says that the four of them made a public appearance together. They They all did. Like, the whole
They went to church
family
on
was
Christmas.
there.
Yeah.
They all did. I love the
Yeah.
framing that this is a public appearance that they just
The
happened to make.
whole thing was, like, a little insane. Wait, and I did
I
paste
love
the
it.
link to the video if you wanna watch it, but I don't recommend. Yeah, so yeah, this idea of scarfing, I think it was only ever applied to Meghan in that one instance because the main flaw I see in this system is half the year is not scarf weather. So why would that be William's, like, go-to move?
Yeah, what would he adjust if not a scarf?
Like,
I
he doesn't
mean,
have a
his
handbag to
collar?
switch from one arm to the other like the queen apparently used to get out of conversations. So
Love
I think
that.
this is just us being desperate for, like, systems to speak to what a royal's really feeling and also, yes, a stick with which to beat royal women once again.
Looking for patterns is a normal human thing that we do. We look for patterns. It helps us make sense of the world. This is creating a pattern that is not there. Also, scarfing sounds just lewd. It doesn't. I just have a feeling if you looked it up on Urban Dictionary, it's probably not good.
No, they put the royal thing on Urban Dictionary. That was also in the article,
What?
in the Cosmopolitan article. But it again references the Meghan of it all.
Of
Because
course it
any
does.
chance to dunk on Meghan, we get. And
God,
reminder,
okay.
anybody can put something on Urban Dictionary.
That's true because I have found a different a different take on this that is
This to
let's
say,
yeah, just moving
all
on.
this to say, I think William is just not great at the moments of downtime during public events. And, like, sometimes he has to adjust his scarf. I don't know.
If I was in front of that many cameras and my scarf was bothering me, I would be the most awkward ass person trying to adjust it. There would be so many articles dedicated to how unhinged I look trying to loop this and settle it against my neck.
Mhm. Yep. So I think that's that. Let's not make it a thing. We hold the power here, right? If internet sleuths and royal watchers are going to form the basis for commentary, let's not do this.
We're taking it back. So, what other kids are making some statements this week?
Well, we do have an update on the Brooklyn Beckham Lord and Lady, Sir and Lady Beckham drama, which I guess now qualifies as royal adjacent news. So we're going to talk about it. So Brooklyn Beckham took to his Instagram yesterday in the wake of a long running and confusing family feud. He posted, I think it's like a 6-part Instagram story statement. It's very lengthy, but he opens with, I have been silent for years and made every effort to keep these matters private. Unfortunately, my parents and their team have continued to go to the press, leaving me with no choice but to speak for myself and tell the truth about only some of the lies that have been printed. I do not. Whimsy wants to hear this tea
She's
too.
she says, "Give me the tea about the oldest Beckham son."
He says, I do not want to reconcile with my family. I'm not being controlled. I'm standing up for myself for the first time in my life. At this point, Brooklyn has reportedly sent a legal letter to his parents insisting that they only contact him via his lawyers. So that's where we're at with this feud. We haven't talked about it on the podcast before. So if you'll permit me, I would love to give you the rundown today.
Would love some information because this is something that I know has been occurring, but I really don't understand it. Besides the fact that Brooklyn Beckham is married and the eldest son of David and Victoria Beckham.
Yeah, until now, it kind of came off as like a chronically online person's celebrity feud drama because there wasn't a lot of concrete information to go on. There was just a lot of speculation, reading of situations that played out publicly, but like nobody really knew whose side to take in this situation either because there wasn't a lot to go on. So, he's kind of dropped a bomb on this situation here. First, just to say who is involved, obviously David and Posh Spice Beckham, Victoria Beckham, sorry.
Posh Spice Beckham.
Posh Spice Beckham, but also their son Brooklyn and his wife Nicola Peltz Beckham, I believe is how they've hyphenated their name. She is the daughter actually of a MAGA billionaire, Nelson Peltz, because of course he is.
There are no winners in this story.
Yeah, her dad has very close relationships with Elon Musk and Donald Trump. She has been pictured with Musk in recent years. Her dad has said really, really like heinous things, trying to be culturally relevant. So I'll just leave that there. Her mom is former model Claudia Peltz. So the feud timeline takes us back to April 2022 when Brooklyn and Nicola had a £3 million. Where did I get this? Oh, yeah, because he's British. Duh. He had a £3 million wedding, but it was in Florida because MAGA billionaires love Florida. Right. So one of the things he brings up in his statement involves Nicola's wedding dress. There have been rumors that Victoria Beckham was a nightmare in the wedding planning process for a couple years. The wedding dress seems to be a central component to that. Brooklyn, in his statement this weekend, claims that Victoria Beckham canceled making her daughter-in-law's dress at the last minute, forcing her to find a replacement by Valentino, which also is interesting timing because Valentino passed away last week. Yeah, so we're going to talk about his fashion legacy later in the episode. Don't worry. But I found that parallel interesting too.
It's good to live in a world, though, where
Everything
your
ties
famous
together.
mother-in-law cancels your dress and you can still get Valentino on the line. She's not going to David's bridal for this last-minute wedding dress.
And so here's the thing. The last-minute thing has me scratching my head because I could have sworn the Valentino collaboration had been discussed before. And indeed, after the wedding, Nicola spoke to, I think it was British Vogue, and she talked about the wedding planning process with Variety. And she actually gave more clarity on the Victoria Valentino shift. Then she said she was going to wear one of Victoria's designs, but Victoria realized her studio wouldn't be able to make it in time and said, I was going to wear her design and I really wanted to. And then a few months down the line, she realized that her atelier couldn't do it. So then I had to pick another dress. She didn't say, you can't wear it. I didn't say I didn't want to wear it. That's where it started. And then they, meaning the press, ran with that.
Do you think that was just the line that was agreed upon?
So yeah,
that they went with?
This is 2022, right? So that was given as a few months. Then in Grazia, USA, also in 2022, she said it was a few days between Victoria saying she could do it and then being actually, I can't do it. So she went to Valentino. After the wedding, she did speak to British Vogue about the wedding dress, and we got more details about the design. It was a custom look, and she called it the culmination of a year and a half's work of conversations with the Valentino team. The dress reportedly involved 2 trips to Rome for fittings and 2 fittings in the US. And she said that it's actually Pier Paolo Piccioli for Valentino, his kind of successor. She says that choosing them was a no-brainer and that the creative director was her first port of call. So a major discrepancy, to say the least.
Of course, I'm thinking, is this marketing and a way to tell the story differently?
Or is this come out?
Really just there are multiple sides to a story, and maybe there were some hurt feelings, but ultimately there's truth on both sides. I don't know.
It's reminding me of Tiara Gate in that way. And that is not the last royal parallel I think we will see.
Yes.
So to bring it back to Brooklyn's actual claim, which he put in his statement, which again is very biased. It's a one-sided look at this situation. He says, my mom canceled making Nicola's dress in the 11th hour, despite how excited she was to wear her design, forcing her to urgently find a new dress. And it's okay, but you still had Valentino work on it across a year plus. So my thing here with this very first claim we're examining, and they won't all be this in depth. This is just the one that lodged itself in my brain. Is this Brooklyn a man just not understanding how these things work? Is it hyperbole? Is he listening to Nika complain and vent and taking it as God's honest truth, but actually having no freaking clue? Because again, man, wedding planning, unclear.
Very good question. I don't know what to make of it.
Now, sticking with the wedding, remember, we're back in 2022. Brooklyn also alleges it, and sorry.
Wait, their first... Wow, I was not expecting their chosen song. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Continue.
So this has been a point of contention for a long time as well, because this is one detail that did emerge quite early on. Brooklyn alleges his first dance was ruined when his mother, Victoria, pushed Nicola aside to dance either with or on him to their chosen song, You Sang to Me, performed by Mark Anthony at the wedding.
So, he was called to the stage. Oh, he was called to the stage to sing it.
Well, okay, so here's the thing.
Mark Anthony was
Mark Anthony was there.
Okay.
He was there, and he in past years, we kind of heard a version of the story that said Mark Anthony called the most beautiful woman in the room for the dance, and Victoria came up to dance with her son. Yeah. So Brooklyn has now kind of doubled down on this, and he says it was a very inappropriate way for a mother to dance, again, on her son at his wedding.
What was she
Yeah.
doing?
So we're painting a picture, I think, of a narcissistic monster-in-law, which a lot of people say they can see for Victoria Beckham. We don't know enough. We do not know these people. We just know their public personas and what Brooklyn is now claiming.
What's interesting too, now that I think about it, is that when you think of the David Beckham documentary and the Victoria one, which I didn't really watch a ton of, you do see how controlling and crafting of the narrative, like that time that Victoria says that she grew up basically poor and David Beckham pops and it's like,
He's like,
oh,
tell them
love,
what car you drove.
love, what car did you drive? And she's like, well, so these series that they have put out there and agreed to sort of lends some credence to this idea that they are very, very particular about their image, what they put out there, and very controlling of it.
Yeah, and that's another thing that Brooklyn brings up in his statement. I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but he's talked about his parents thinking that brand Beckham comes first before everything, which again I think mirrors another
Do the
toxic
Beckhams think they're
family
royalty?
situation. Unclear, but I mean, look at the prestige status they've been chasing for the last several years, I think, to give you an answer there. So, also at the wedding, now Brooklyn claims his family told him the night before that Nicola was not blood and therefore would not be truly family and therefore would not be included in certain things. And to that, I just say, I should hope not, that she's not blood if you're marrying her. But I think what they mean is like, she'll never truly be one of us, right?
Good God.
Yeah. So he also speaks about Victoria trying to undermine his relationship with Nicola by frequently inviting his former partners into their lives, specifically to make his new wife feel uncomfortable. There's a lot there that I didn't go down the rabbit hole on, but yeah. Everything I'm about to say, like, there is more you could get into if you wanted. I'm just going to give you the broad strokes from here
Do
on
you
out.
think that Victoria just doesn't think anyone is good enough for her son? Or do you think that there is something about Nicola perhaps that doesn't vibe?
I don't know. I think it's a boy mom thing on one hand, but also you have this outsider, this American woman coming in thinking she can steal our baby boy away. I'm just saying. I don't know. I don't know. So things are tense, but they're still on speaking terms through 2023. They all appear together at the premiere for the Netflix show, documentary.
Whatever.
Yeah. In October 2023, red carpet footage from that has been endlessly dissected. And Brooklyn does now describe these appearances as inauthentic and designed to protect the family brand. In 2025, David Beckham famously turned 50, and he had this big birthday party in London. Brooklyn and Nicola did skip the birthday party, but Brooklyn now alleges they were in London. They had gone to London with the intention of seeing his father and maybe like trying to iron some things out, but that he says they just spent a week in a hotel waiting to hear whether they would, be invited to see David Beckham. According to Brooklyn's telling of the events, his father refused to see him unless Nicola was not included, and all the efforts that they made to set up times to see their family were rejected unless they were told you can come to the very high profile birthday party with hundreds of guests and cameras. Other than that, we're not interested. So there was also a rift with his brother Romeo. Not clear what happened there, but by July 2025, both brothers had unfollowed each other. So this is where people start to tune back in to the feud. In August 2025, now remember, they got married in 2022. Brooklyn and Nicola renewed their vows like 3 years later. They said it was to.
You know what? I will allow this just based on how maybe the wedding went.
Correct. And that was the conversation then, too. They said they wanted to create new memories, and people were speculating the drama must have been crazy if you need to, after 3 years, hold a vow renewal.
Wait. Wasn't the behind the scenes of the wedding supposed to be a documentary? I feel like I remember that somewhere, that it was supposed to be
Maybe.
part of something larger, a kind of special event, and that was scrapped. That might be gossip,
Might play into this, though, if true.
but I do wonder.
Yep. So David and Victoria Beckham did not attend the vow renewal. They were on a yacht in Italy instead. And now, January 2026, Brooklyn has reportedly sent a letter to his parents insisting on contact only via lawyers. He's released his scathing multi-page Instagram statement accusing him. Also, there was something about bribing him to sign away the rights to his name in there.
Wait, what?
I didn't even have time to look at that
Did they
before we
trademark their
recorded.
children's names?
I guess they wanted to.
Hold on.
So this, yeah.
Keep going. I'll look this up.
Okay. So essentially he has confirmed that he is fully estranged from his parents and does not wish to reconcile.
Applications for the children's names, according to Google, were filed around December 2016, early 2017 for their children's names.
There you go.
Wow.
Now, just today, as we are recording, January 20th, we record on Tuesdays, David Beckham was on CNBC and he was talking about social media broadly. Obviously, nothing in here should be read into our family situation. He says, I have always spoken about social media and the power of social media for the good and for the bad. Then he says, they make mistakes, but children are allowed to make mistakes. That is how they learn. That is what I try to teach my kids. You sometimes have to let them make those mistakes as well. So obviously people are interpreting this as kind of a veiled reference to the situation. We've also confirmed that the whole family has now been blocked on social media by Brooklyn and Nicola.
I'm going to say something.
Go for it.
You are not entitled to your children.
This is true.
Once they are adults. You are not entitled to them. And if you would like a long-term relationship with your children, it is on the parent as well to forge a relationship with their children that makes their children want to have them in their lives. Like, that's really at the heart of some of the cutting off. It's not just a decision you make lightly because you feel like it one day, because it comes with a lot of baggage and a lot of scrutiny, especially if you're in the public eye. So if you don't want your kids estranged from you, I don't know, maybe be the adult, maybe be the parent, maybe make sure that you are welcoming to their decision in who they marry, even if it's maybe not your first choice. I don't know.
And I was thinking about this because there is, of course, a parallel between Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. And I was thinking, like, what are the odds we would have two of these moments within a few years of each other? But I feel like the odds are pretty good, especially as a society. We reckon with what you just said. This is not the first time we've talked about this on this podcast as well, because Meghan's under fire for cutting off her own father. I think the generation that is raising the people who are now in the position to cut themselves off from toxic family situations, they did have this understanding of like the institution of family being the most important thing, but like not really being able to relate to kids on a human level. Like, just that's very broadly like a read I can put on this situation. So yeah, much like Harry, also Brooklyn is now kind of fighting back against the wife-led rift narrative, right? He had to say the narrative my wife controls me is completely backwards. Like, he had to include that because Nicola is labeled the catalyst for him breaking things off with his family, just like Meghan was.
It's like they've both understood how their families operate, but it wasn't until they found their loves that it became so glaring that they had to get them out of the situation, cut it off. And on a larger level, this has a lot to do with just the appearance of family. You know?
Yeah.
Harry's situation and Brooklyn's situation, the brand, but I think that extends to normal people as well. And family members or parents who are cut off wanting to maintain that facade on Facebook for their friends that they're seeing the kids at Thanksgiving. Here's a picture. My grandkids are doing this, that, and the other. It's this appearance of a happy, stable, totally okay family without actually doing the work
Right.
to ensure that you have those things.
Definitely. And it's like, what's more important to you, the genuine relationship or what it says about you? And I think, too, going back to the women, like Meghan and Nicola, I don't know these women personally, of course, but their outsider status, the fact that they weren't born into these institutions, whether it's the royals or Brand Beckham, they come in with this different perspective and give the men like two things: the ability to recognize like toxic patterns, the behavior that is not helping anything, but also giving them the courage to like say, I'm not about this anymore. I can choose something better for me and my own family.
I do wonder if Brooklyn's parents, if David and Victoria really wanted to see if he could get in with some lesser aristocratic woman or something and really get in the circle more so, because I thought to myself, who else did they want? Like a British born woman, a rich British born woman, because Nicole or Nicola is rich, you know?
Mhm.
She
But
definitely, her father,
in a different vein,
definitely in
right?
a different way, but it's not like Posh and David were our old established rich people either. I wonder if they really wanted to get into that rich in the sense of aristocracy,
Yeah.
land holding in England kind of
Yeah.
way.
I think that is an astute observation and a compelling theory.
Thank
One
you.
more thing Brooklyn alleges is that his parents leaked stories to the press about him to preserve their image, which again echoes something that Prince Harry has claimed about his family, about palace communications teams, and which he continues to fight against in the UK.
What a beautiful transition. We are
Thank
going to
you.
briefly talk about the trial against the publishers of the Mail, which includes Prince Harry, Elizabeth Hurley, Sir Elton John, Sadie Frost. So there are many claimants in this case. It kicked off on Monday, January 19th. They wrapped up day two. We are recording on Tuesday, January 20th, which is very important information because Wednesday, January 21st, when most of you will hear this episode, might look a lot different. And that is because today, day two, Tuesday, was wrapping up the plaintiff's side and the opening statements on behalf of the claimants. This included looking specifically at individual claims, since we're obviously focused on Prince Harry. That involved several claims that allege that royal reporters who are still working, who are very much in the fold, used, again, allegedly,
Mhm.
private investigators for information that was incredibly personal, invasive, illegal to obtain, and claimed that it came from sources or friends, or that Harry's circle was just leaky. One particular example that came up that a lot of people focused on was that the current Daily Mail royal editor and the domestic captain of the Royal Rota, Rebecca English, it is alleged that she used a PI paid for, allegedly, can't say that enough, by the Daily Mail to dig up information on Prince Harry's then girlfriend, Chelsea Davy, looking into her flight information, her seat number, all the information that they could get to publish a story about where she was going, and essentially wreaking havoc on
Mhm.
Prince Harry and adding strain to his relationships.
It's absolutely wild. And these kind of opening notes for the trial highlighted for Harry 14 articles relating to his claim of unlawful information gathering. Most of them were published between 2001 and 2013, and most did contain bylines from Rebecca English or Katie Nicholl, who was a former Mail on Sunday royal correspondent. And so one thing I was reading, the Daily Mail and their publisher, I guess, Associated Newspapers, they're setting up, I think, that everything they did was above board, because you can't be mad at us for just getting people to talk about Harry, and that was like so normalized at the time. And I think Harry's point here is it shouldn't have been normalized. This was not normal behavior, like to pay a PI. That's not normal. That's actually harmful. And yeah, yeah.
The Daily Mail, the publishers of the Daily Mail, are in a tough situation. And I say that because they have painted themselves into a corner of all or nothing, because they have maintained for years that they had no involvement in any sort of phone hacking, illegal information gathering. Paul Dacre, I don't know how to say his last name, but the editor of the Daily Mail testified during the Levinson inquiry, which was looking into media phone hacking, illegal information gathering in 2012, and said emphatically that there was no hiring of PIs, illegal information gathering done at the Mail on Sunday. They have maintained that. So if in any way that's proven to not be the case, things really crumble around them. And I think that's why we're seeing a couple different strategies from the defense. The first one was, and this is what I got from Sherborne, who's the barrister for the plaintiffs, from his opening statements, is that this was not just a Gavin Burrows situation, who we spoke about on the Friday news dump, the private investigator who has since recanted on his statements and said he was forced and there's forgery of statements. What Sherborne does is lay out this is far from just Gavin Burrows. He names several private investigators, private investigator companies as playing a part in this to really point the picture that this was more systemic than just one unreliable witness. And it really shows you how the media ran with that story during pretrial, probably the way A&L hoped they would, to paint this as if Carrie's case is crumbling in front of
Mm,
him because of this
mhm.
one, when in reality, there are several mentioned. The other big news out of today was that the trial ended hours early. And that is because the defense gave their opening statement. They were slotted for a day and a half of opening statements. They gave less than 3 hours and basically said, "We've been over this. You have everything. We don't want to waste the court's time."
That's so interesting.
But you know what this does? This forces Prince Harry to testify a day early. They
Mm.
have forced his testimony up a day early and messed with the timeline. And I think, again, just my opinion, that is intentional. That is to throw the other side off. That is to also convey that this case is really a nothing burger. We've been through it. These accusations brought against us, these allegations are too old. They're not based on anything substantial. And what are we doing here? Is kind of
Sure.
the vibe I get. So they are appearing to F with the timeline
Yeah, I mean,
of this trial.
it kind of it does throw the ball, like, back to the court of the plaintiffs, the claimants, and it, like, really, I think, shows how confident they are that they will not be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the Associated Newspaper Group or whatever, like, actively solicited these unlawful information gathering tactics, right? There was one thing that stuck out to me that I'm like, "Oh, interesting." One of the people defending the newspaper group said, "In the majority of cases, there is nothing linking the payment of a private investigator to either the content of a story or the journalist that wrote it." So it's not really a question of, like, whether these stories were intrusive. It's, well, you can't prove it was us. You can't prove it was the person writing this story, which, ooh, I just hate. But essentially now, Harry and the other claimants will have to disprove the Daily Mail's publisher's claims that it never engaged in unlawful information gathering. And I don't know how that's going to play out, because we've talked about there being a pattern of stories that could only have come from unlawful means of gathering this information. But it's a high bar to reach, like, conclusive proof.
It is a high bar, and this is a civil case, so it is the justice who will make the decision. I'm not sure if it's a situation like the Mail where Justice Fancourt found that 15 out of 33 articles relating to Prince Harry were a result of unlawfully obtained information.
Mhm.
So I'm not really sure how it breaks down in the long term. The other thing that the plaintiffs have also argued has made this difficult is that they allege that the Daily Mail oversaw the deletion of millions of emails related to this pre 2004. And if you recall, that is also an allegation made against the publishers of The Sun and News of the World, which allege that Will Lewis, current Washington Post editor in chief, was hired by Murdoch's company to oversee a mass deletion, 15 million emails relating to the phone hacking scandal to try to minimize the damage. That is the allegation that is made.
Now, you bringing that up reminded me that on the other side, the Daily Mail's publishers are arguing that a lot of the claimant's evidence they're bringing in this case tie back to previous cases against the Mirror and the Sun. They are arguing that that evidence should not be permissible here in this case. So put a pin in that. We might hear that it's
You might
been
hear more on that, but
excluded.
I think that's an interesting part of it as well.
And I mean, just to tie a ribbon on everything, David Sherborne, he is trying to paint a picture of the impact that this had on Harry and just the culture that this behavior would fit into if it is proven to have happened or demonstrated. He talks about, which is, in itself not a crime. He talks about Harry enduring a sustained campaign of attacks against him for having the temerity to stand up to Associated in the way he has so publicly done. So David Sherborne said, and another thing, for him bringing this case, we're going to try and prove you have retaliated, which again isn't legal or isn't illegal. It's not a matter for this case specifically, but it speaks to the pattern and the culture. So it's interesting is all I have to say.
It is interesting. There will be more to come. We will probably give highlights on the Friday news dump of Harry's testimony and keep you guys posted. So I just wanted to quickly move on to a little story. Critics are saying, and this is about royals and soft power. So to give you a little background here, President Donald Trump announced this week that he plans to impose 10% tariffs on 8 NATO members until, quote, such time as a deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland. I feel like I am living in the Twilight Zone. I cannot believe this is real life.
Don't worry. I have more to add to this when you're done with your segment.
Thank God.
Yeah.
So this includes the UK, which obviously recognizes the sovereignty of Greenland.
Right, as it should.
Chris Shipp of ITV, sometimes he throws out the tweets,
That's
and
what
I am here for it.
I love his commentary sometimes.
His tweets are so good. So he tweeted about this. I'm old enough to remember when the royal family hosted President Trump for an unprecedented second state visit. To secure a lasting U.S.-UK friendship and relations between the two countries would help the economy in the months and years ahead. And it's whoop emojis. And it's a video of Kate and Will and Camilla and Charles.
It's when Camilla made that stank face at Melania.
Yes, when they arrived for the second state visit.
Ooh. Yeah. So it's interesting. I think it's tongue in cheek a little bit to question the royal family's actual role in maintaining that special relationship, because Trump's not thinking about that. Trump is thinking about his own ego, his own goals. He doesn't care who he has to step over to get to his goals.
He's not, but that's the way the media and the government sort of produces consent for the British monarchy and the purpose of them. Is because of this special relationship and the way they are able to wield soft power. But this is such a clear example of
it doesn't
soft
matter.
Power ain't working.
No. And when you're faced with someone like Trump, who it's just kind of the last person to talk to him, the last person to flatter him that he's going to go with. There was also a story last week that piqued my interest of him texting. There was a text exchange released from Donald Trump to the Prime Minister of Norway. So this is all in relation to Greenland, obviously, which Trump wants to annex, purchase, unclear. This text exchange was so telling to me, and it kind of plays in here because if we remember, Greenland is a part of Denmark. It's part of Denmark, which has its own monarchy. It's technically a self-governing autonomous territory, similar to how Scotland is part of the UK, but it has mostly control of its own internal affairs, but part of this larger family. That is something I think we need to remember in all of our discussions of Greenland. If Trump does this, not only will he be pissing off NATO, there's an actual monarchy who owns this territory. It would be like going into Scotland and being actually, Britain, this is ours now.
Because it looks big on a map. I would like this one.
Yeah, seriously. So this text chain was released between him and the Prime Minister of Norway, who, again, Norway is not Denmark. Norway is part of NATO. and home to the Nobel Peace Prize, which I think
Oh,
is
God.
more likely the real reason we're gunning so hard for Greenland. So Trump texted the prime minister, Jonas Gahr Store. I know I'm not pronouncing that right. There are accents. Revealing that he, had accepted Maria Machado's Nobel Peace Prize that she gave to him, even though the Nobel Committee is very clear, you can't do that. It doesn't count. Like, that's not how this works. He talks to the Norwegian prime minister and he says, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars, plus I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be predominant, but now can think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. Denmark cannot protect that land from Russia or China. And why do they have a right of ownership anyway? There are no written documents. It's only that a boat landed there hundreds of years ago. But we had boats landing there also. I have done more for NATO than any other president. This is a text message. I have done more for NATO than any other person since its founding. And now NATO should do something for the United States. The world is not secure unless we have complete and total control of Greenland. Thank you, President Donald J. Trump. So this tirade requires many things, right? But I think, interestingly, it requires a misunderstanding not only of who does have the right of ownership to Greenland and what that entails, but also how the Nobel Peace Prize is awarded. It's not the Norwegian government or NATO that gives out peace prizes or snubs for peace prizes, which Donald Trump thinks he has been snubbed. It's the International Unaffiliated Nobel Prize Committee. Like, these are two separate things, but he doesn't seem to understand that. So I really think I think in a sense, Trump not getting the Nobel Peace Prize is why he thinks he should take Greenland now.
Just want to say 25th Amendment now, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
2, this would be so funny if he wasn't one of the most powerful people in the world.
It's kind of like one of Shane's biggest hot takes is Barack Obama making jokes about Trump at that one White House Correspondents' Dinner is why he ran for president.
Literally, that is the butterfly effect. If that doesn't happen,
you don't give him the Nobel Peace Prize, obviously, and now he's going to annex Greenland.
Yeah, the other thing that I find slightly humorous, he's like, because a bunch of people landed on boats, they get to claim it.
Yeah, that was the other thing.
Do you know anything about the founding of the colonies in America?
And how the Vikings actually did land here before. Anyway.
Boothang. Okay. He sucks. That hasn't changed.
That was crazy. When I read this, I was like, so many angles that are just killing me as a historian. Oh my God.
Yeah, my brain just exploded. And we got to move into this is both style and obit, because we have had a passing in the fashion world. Valentino Garavani, the Romanian designer who launched Valentino in 1960, passed away at 93 years old. He dressed big names like Elizabeth Taylor, Sophia Loren, Audrey Hepburn, and he also did Jackie Kennedy's wedding dress for her wedding to Aristotle Onassis.
Yeah. Valentino became known for making women feel beautiful from all walks of life, which is something I really admire about him and his designs. He dressed first ladies, royalty, which we will do some royal highlights here in a moment. But it was actually dressing Jackie Kennedy that propelled him into the world of political power dressing, which I think is something that royals and first ladies are always looking for designers who get it. Right. And so he was one that kind of got it. In 1967, during a state visit to Cambodia, Jackie wore a green haute couture Valentino gown. It was asymmetric and very of its time. But this is what propelled him onto the world stage. And it was the following year, 68, that he did her wedding dress. So that was kind of his entry into the global fashion space. People have tried to distill down why he was so compelling for women in these high profile roles. And he once summed it up by saying, I know what women want. They want to be beautiful. I mean, sometimes it is that simple, right? A lot of his looks, they have these very structured silhouettes and they're very formal and controlled, but they also embrace femininity with embellishments, ruffles, flowers, crystals, lace. So it's kind of a best of both worlds situation in a less obvious way than something like a pussy bow blouse, which
Yes.
somebody predicted is coming back for 2026. And I would just like to say, please, God, no. Please, no.
Did it ever really leave? I feel like I see that everywhere.
Yeah, they are.
Anyway, he also, speaking of royalty, he has dressed many a royal, like Queen Maxima in her 2002 wedding dress, which
Mm.
I am so into this freaking look.
Are you?
I am actually. It's got this cowl neck and it is a silk gown. It's got a 16-foot train with an inset of lace echoing the motif on her hand embroidered silk tulle veil trailing behind her. For me, like, this is queen dressing. It's sumptuous. It's got that long ass train, which you know I love.
Beautiful.
It is more conservative, but I think that the neckline and the little peekaboo of lace and the veil, I think it just works. I think it works.
I've always loved the skirt of this dress. And like you said, the peekaboo through the pleating, I think is so beautiful. The top always, to me, just makes her look like a bobblehead. Like there are some pictures where they're waving where she's like leaned back and her neck is here, but her neckline is over here. And I don't think that was executed in quite the timeless way it should have been, or like it was trying to. But there is something very like mid-century about a lot of these designs.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what
Yeah.
probably speaks to as
Yeah.
like a 60s, 70 inspired girl. That speaks to me.
And he told Hello about the dress. It had to be extremely sumptuous and regal. We had to remember she will be queen. And I found that interesting because he also did Princess Madeline of Sweden's wedding dress, someone who is not planning to be queen. She is the youngest or the middle. I think the youngest of the Swedish royal children.
She's not going to be queen.
She's not going to be queen, most likely. So she got married to Christopher O'Neill in June 2013. And this dress, it still has those mid-century hallmarks, but it's a little bit softer and more romantic. So I did put pictures in here for you.
May I speak?
Please.
It is giving Say Yes to the Dress 2013. The lace,
Yeah.
the cut, it is very of its time. Maybe not the train.
The boat neck short sleeve top, like for sure. I was thinking like, what if you get rid of the lace above the bust? Like, I think it becomes more elegant automatically. But we had to have some nod to, hey, we're royalty, we're in a chapel, you know.
Listen, if you're a princess, please go off. Do whatever you want, okay?
So Madeline's wedding dress by Valentino was silk organza pleated by hand with appliqued ivory chantilly lace. The waistline was pleated and it kind of flared out into a broad skirt with a 4-meter long train. So again, 16 feet, I think that would be. The upper section, it's I like the back more than the front. I think it looks like it's backwards almost. It's like this.
That's what I do too,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it
yeah.
goes down in the back in a really beautiful way.
In the back, it kind of looks like that. You remember that twist tie top that Meghan wore? It's like a boat neck and it comes down and it like twists
Yes.
over her boobs. That's kind of what the back of this dress looks like. And then the front is just like straight across boat neck, short sleeves. It's pretty in the back. I don't like the front. But I think it's very romantic, very dreamy. The hem is like, it kind of looks like a bed skirt, but I kind of find that charming for a European royal wedding. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, go for the fairy tale.
And then there are the non-wedding Valentino designs that he had done for royalty throughout his career.
So Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, definitely rocks Valentino. She has had many pieces in rotation, particularly during her pregnancy. I pulled out 2 examples. The first one was a Valentino shift mini dress featuring 3D embellished flowers. She wore this originally in 2021, and then she rewore it for her 44th birthday party. And then she also wore a 2-piece white Valentino suit at the Invictus Games. And this was in 2022, I believe. And it's Pier Paolo at the helm. She has definitely been a fan of Pier Paolo and his structured, simple, but beautiful looks. And then you also pulled in a red number.
Yeah, because one of the signature colors from Valentino's atelier was this Valentino red. And I did remember in the recesses of my brain that Meghan had worn this as well. This was when she and Harry arrived to Casablanca in 2019. She wore this kind of knee-length cape dress, and she was pregnant at the time, so it doubled as a maternity look in like a really beautiful way. I love this. I love
I'm so into it.
the applique on the cape. I think is just so gorgeous, and compared to the white suit, I think it shows like the dual nature once again that royal women have to dress for. Like you're very formal, you can be business princess, but then you're also wife and mother princess.
Exactly. And then you found a Lady Di
Of
example
course
as
I
well.
did. Yeah, so Valentino and Diana, Princess of Wales, were actually pretty close as well. Fun fact, she had actually planned on wearing a Valentino dress in 1994 to the Serpentine Gallery Gala, where she actually debuted what would become known as her revenge dress. So
Ooh.
how different could royal history be if she had stuck to the plan there? But there was one notable dress that she wore in November 1992 by Valentino. She wore this red, burgundy, velvet, and lace like cocktail dress to a Paul McCartney concert in Lille, France, which is where I lived when I studied abroad. So there's my connection.
And she also has opaque red tights and red velvet pumps.
So fun.
That was a decision, okay?
She looks like a red velvet cupcake.
Oh my God, she does. I think the dress with different accessories could have slayed a little harder.
I think she needed like a coat or something. And just don't take the coat off. Yeah.
And so I looked for examples of Catherine, Princess of Wales, in Valentino, and I couldn't find many examples, which doesn't surprise me the more I think about just she's more of a McQueen girl, you know, and the British designers. That's where she's really going. But I did find this quote that Valentino gave in 2012 to Elle, which is a year after William and Kate were married. And he said, quote, "She's the talk of the town because she's so beautiful and so elegant. What I admire about the Duchess of Cambridge is she's always elegant, but a little low profile. She doesn't want to appear splashing all the time. But people appreciate very much this sort of, how we say, sotto tone?
Sottotone. Yeah, I don't know.
Sottotone. Sorry, I had to do it with my hands.
Yeah.
I hope one day to bring one dress to her so she can wear Valentino."
I read that quote and I was like, okay, there it is again. He just wants women to feel beautiful. I think that's what he was saying without saying. Like, she's so lovely, but like, she would be more beautiful in a Valentino.
Just want to give her a little Valentino moment.
I wondered if that was why she never did wear Valentino, because it elevates you. Like, Diana incorporated Valentino as kind of a way of moving her visual persona into that more adult realm. I'm wondering if Kate, who has been infantilized by the institution more times than we can count, I wonder if that's why she never stepped into a Valentino. Just projecting my own commentary onto the situation.
It's a good question. But again, a legend, rest in power.
There have been lots of tributes from fashion powerhouses to Valentino, so he will be missed.
And I'm going to end things with a special what?
That
I didn't even tell Amanda what it was. I said, Meredith will reveal on the pod. It's amazing. Amanda, I'm
going in blind.
I am going to ask you to do something for me. I'm going to ask you to look at your phone and check the text message I just sent you.
How long have you had that queued up? Okay. What?
Amanda is shocked. Amanda is shooketh.
Where is this from? Okay, so the headline, it's like one of those little features that we put in the corner of a page of a newspaper, tabloid.
Yes. Okay, let me just read it. I'm going to let you sit with this. So it is a picture of Meghan's exposed knees, okay? And so we don't just have a pantyhose problem, right? We have a problem that some saw in these exposed knees.
I'm reading
a vision. Some saw a vision of her nephew, Prince George, and niece, Princess Charlotte, in her knees. They see portraits of her niece and nephew in her knees. And I'm going to say something controversial. I kind of see Charlotte.
Stop.
It's like when you see Jesus in the toast, that's usually
what I was
goes around.
Thinking. Royal niece is in Meg knees. Notably, no byline on this, so we didn't want to own up to it.
But because here's the thing. Perhaps there is no byline because they do ask below, do you have a royal hidden in your knees? Email your pics to exclusive@thesun.com.
Someone just wanted knee pictures at the Sun. You sicko. That's insane.
Oh my God. Is that not amazing? I believe that is I think it's from 2017. I guess that would make sense because Louis is not born yet. I believe it's from 2016, 2017. And yes, somebody took it a step further. The problem is not just Meghan's bare legs, it is that her knees are having visions.
Oh no, it was Emily Andrews.
Wait, was it?
I think so, because where it's attached, the text right above gives her email address.
It is just so beautiful. I love it. I mean, it's almost as good as an asparagus reader.
I don't see it. I just see on her left knee. Sure, there could be a face. Must have been a slow news day for this to make it off of the royal internet sleuth message boards and into an actual print newspaper.
What do we got? We got nothing going on. We can't talk about the fact that Meghan broke royal protocol again. What could there be? What could there be? Well, a reader says they see visions of the future king and his sister in Meghan's knees. What could that mean?
That's insane.
I love it. This is why you go to journalism school.
I hate it here. Thank you.
That is our episode. We, of course, need to thank our Patreon press secretaries, Molly, Nikki, and Jessica. You would always dress us in Valentino. That's what I would like to say. And can you do that actually? Can you get us some Valentino?
Yeah,
that
if
would
you can
be
hook us
great.
up, that'd be great. And
Love it.
you would also make sure that we never had to fiddle with our scarf, leading to a narrative of scarfing in the press. You would have that shit locked down. Okay? Thank you.
And thank you to our crown jewel, Sir Christopher of the Order of the God of the Baby's Breath of Greenland. You have won the Nobel Peace Prize of our hearts, and we would never present it to Donald Trump.
Amen.
Amen. The Lord be with you and also with you.
And with your spirit, thank you very much. Someone hasn't been to Catholic Mass in a while. Thank you so much for listening. If you would like bonus, early, ad-free video, all of the above episodes, that is all over on the Patreon, patreon.com/offwiththeirheadlines. Go join us over there. You could also join as a free member to get access to our discussion posts from time to time. We should start one about the trial, now that I'm saying this out loud.
Good idea. And if you want to watch video episodes, but you can wait a couple days, they are over on YouTube for free. You just got to watch some ads. So we'll see you Friday. Have a good rest of your week. We'll see you soon.
Keep it classy. Bye.
Bye.